Good morning, Your Excellency, all dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first day of the session in second day of COP. I hope you all feel rejuvenated after having a full day off yesterday. So this morning, we'll be highlighting the progress post-integrating blue carbon into SNDC or second NDC, how to mobilize climate finance to scale the blue carbon initiatives. And the speakers will also set off coastal mitigation and adaptation pathways as well as the national targets, explore ocean climate initiatives and lessons learned from the counterpartner. To lead the session, allow me to welcome the moderator. He's the Environmental Policy Officer from Triple GI, Bapak Taswin Munir, to stage.
Good morning, everyone. Bon dia, selamat pagi. That's Indonesia's bon dia. Selamat pagi, how are you? Apa kabar? I'm Taswin Munir. My role in Global Green Growth Institute, GGGI Indonesia office, is the Environmental Policy Officer. And I would like to welcome you, a warm welcome. And we just witnessed a remarkable launching of the Blue Carbon Action Guide. Blue Carbon Ecosystem Action Guide, launched by two ministers, is a milestone for everyone because to some of you who might know how the Indonesia's journey in NDC regarding the future sixth sector, the ocean sector, is not an easy one. And then when we come to this point where we have not only the narratives as written in the second NDC, which was just submitted before the COP30 in Belém. But we also reached to this point where the action guide is the executive summary of the in-depth, deep dive blue carbon ecosystem roadmap that contains baseline data, approved and agreed methodology on mangrove and seagrass ecosystem, and then a potential action plans to implement and then to measure, and then the system, integrated system between the two ministries into the Indonesian SRN, the National Verification System, and then it will be auto-connected prior to each COP and then prior to biennial report. So hopefully in the evaluation or revision of the second NDC next or 2 years from now, we have the baseline and complete methodology, and then the roadmap towards what can be achieved through the blue carbon ecosystem in Indonesia. So to discuss that more, I would like to invite four speakers. The first one is Dr. Hendra Yusransiri, the Senior Advisor to the Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. Please welcome. The second one is Dr. Haruki Agustina, the Director of Climate Change Mitigation from the Ministry of Environment. Mungkin Bapak dari sana ya? Ya, dari sana. Sesuai gambar. Ya. Orang nggak bingung. And then the third one, please welcome Mr. Dr. Sandeep Sengupta, the head of policy of IUCN headquarters, and then also the head of delegation of IUCN to COP30 in Belém. And then we have Anna Marie Laura from the Ocean Conservancy. Thank you for being with us today. So we have four panelists, and then we would like to discuss how far that we achieve with this Blue Carbon Ecosystem Action Guide, and then our goal of having an Indonesian blue carbon ecosystem roadmap which will guide the ministers and then the relevant stakeholders in viewing what we should do in the next 5 years, especially what we can offer to the world in terms of mangrove and seagrass conservation and rehabilitation. Okay, not to take too long time, I would like to give the first chance, this opportunity to Dr. Hendra Yusransiri. Do you have any presentation?
You have a guidance questions, right?
Yeah, we have the guide questions. Yeah, I would like to read the bio first. So we call it Dr. Hendra. Hendra is the Senior Advisor to the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries on Ecology and Marine Resources. He was also the acting DG of Marine Spatial Planning and Management. And then he got his PhD from NU, Australian National University, and Coastal and Marine Management. So the first guiding question for Dr. Hendra is, we already get to this stage. Could you tell us historically, chronologically, from the early stage where the ministry was trying to get the blue carbon, or let's say ocean sector, into our NDC, what was the experience, and then how the methodology was approved from the internal ministry, and then how all the relevant DG or directorates agree on that. And then they agree on they have two regulations, internal regulation on ocean roadmap, and then the ministry regulation number 1, 2025 on the carbon economic value for blue carbon ecosystem. Okay. I think I don't bombard you with too many questions, but maybe you can answer first. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Pak Taswin. Very good morning to all of us, and thank you, Pak Taswin, for the questions. Let me start by probably you might know about the blue carbon, but I would like to give the explanation about the blue carbon itself. I think the blue carbon is, in UNCCC, we call this as coastal wetland ecosystem. This is like the carbon storage in the coastal and marine ecosystems such as like mangrove, seagrass meadow, and salt marsh. So this is actually have a more productive and have powerful absorption of the carbon compared to the tropical forest. So that's why it's really good, because Indonesia itself, we have like we share 17% of the blue carbon ecosystem to the world. So part of that, the blue carbon also have any additionality, what we call this, such as like supporting the fisheries and also protecting the coastline and also sustaining the coastal communities. So I think if we conserve the blue carbon itself, this also can be resilience for the coastal communities. So back to your question, Pak Taswin, about the timeline and also the historic pathway of our launching the methodology today. It's again, as you can see, that we start from 2022, and we need to strengthen what we call this MRV methodology for monitoring, measuring, reporting, and verification. So Indonesia is also already integrated the blue carbon itself in NDC. You mentioned, and our excellencies this morning already mentioned about that. Because we integrating the blue carbon ecosystem to our NDC as part of the adaptation and mitigation effort. And I think Indonesia, as I mentioned, and also you can see this morning, we share the largest and most carbon dense coastal ecosystem globally. This is substantially increase our national mitigation potential. That's why, of course, this is still new, but we would like to encourage and acknowledge that will become of the potential for our carbon value of the carbon. And of course, our Ministry, Marine Affairs and Fisheries, is like we lead the implementation for the blue carbon ecosystem, especially for the seagrass meadow and also some of the mangrove areas. And I think as the archipelagic countries, we share our concern and our common goal with the other countries, how we strengthen our ocean as part of the climate solutions. So I believe that, Taswin, this guidebook that we launched this morning is really, we can say that it's a first step, and also can be living document for us how to strengthen the blue carbon and integrated it into our NDCs and also our carbon value. The guidebook also translates NDC commitment into the practical coastal ecosystem. Of course, we have how the methodology to measure it, reporting it, and also verify it. And it is also strengthened because the guidebook itself, it's collaborative effort among the ministries, our ministries, Ministry of Environment, and also Ministry of Forestry. So I would like to say, and I'm proud to say that it's also strengthened our coordination across the ministry, and not forget that it's also our international partners and also development partners to make the guidance happens and also launched this morning. And the lesson learned from that, I think we have several key messages. I believe that for us, first, what we call this integrated data is critical. It's really important because the data for seagrass meadow is scattered. We have scattered from the ministry and university, and then now how we integrated it into become more robust and also can be reliable data. It's really challenging, but we believe that with collaborative effort we can do it. And also we need more permanent sampling plot. I believe this as a lesson learned, and also how we deal with the data fragmentations. It's really something that we need to understand. And for us also, the budget analysis show that the building and robust system requires significant investment. And the last but not least is, of course, the guidebook itself will also strengthening of Indonesia Blue Carbon and MRV system in the coming years. As you may know that we have already opened and then we have also mutual recognition agreement with the gold standard and also with the Plan VIVO and others verification agents. So that's why I think it will become more, more strategic for us to make sure that the blue carbon will be part of the solutions. Ocean will be part of the solution because ocean is our life, and we believe on that. And as archipelagic countries, we believe that Indonesia can be a leading for the blue carbon ecosystem. I say thank you for that one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Could you give applause? This is 1, 2, 1, 2. Indonesia has more than 17,000 islands and then 3.4 million hectares of mangrove. The current data is now 660,000 hectares of seagrasses and 20,000 to 2 million of tidal salt marshes. So Pa Hendra's point is we should have an integrated data, see it as a one ecosystem, regardless the bureaucracy, and then we should have the system, and we should have the monitoring, permanent sampling plot, and then we should have the technology so we can update data. Thank you. Now I should come to the second speakers, Dr. Haruki Agustina, the Director of Climate Change Mitigation from the Ministry of Environment. Madam, how can the integration of blue carbon into our second NDC enhance global climate ambition and collective actions? Thank you.
Very good morning. Very good morning to everyone. And first of all, I would like to congratulate the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries for launching the Indonesia Blue Carbon Ecosystem Action Guide. So actually, the Blue Carbon Ecosystem Action Guide will certainly add to Indonesia modalities of implementing NDC, and also provide the guideline for stakeholders, including the government, local government, businesses, the public. So in their effort to achieve the NDC target by providing information of planning, action plans for reduction greenhouse gas emission and identifying potential mitigation action in the blue carbon sector. So furthermore, the guide is expected to bridge the gap between the blue carbon science and national climate policy through the development of the methodologies, governance, benefit sharing and incentive mechanism, and recommendation to enable coastal ecosystem to contribute significantly measurably, accountably to the achievement of Indonesia's NDC target.
Thank you, Ms. Director. As you know, we just submitted our second NDC, and hopefully in 1 to 2 years to come, we'll revise that with a good baseline data and then good forecasting on what we should do in a blue carbon ecosystem that we're doing now. Now, what do you think of the contribution of this guide action book or action guide that we are launching now, and then the full roadmap which will be launching in December this year? How did it contribute to the NDC?
Yeah, actually, so this is, very challenging for Indonesian government because we have already stated now we are on implementing the enhanced NDC until to 2030, and the blue carbon will contribute and elevate our national target for achieving in 2020 and also for the SNDC. So we hope the roadmap will demonstrate our commitment to utilizing the potential blue carbon ecosystem, which include mangroves, seagrass, as part of national climate change mitigation strategy. This is emphasized through the issuance presidential number 110 that concerning the implementation carbon pricing and national greenhouse, which has added ocean sector under the mitigation of climate change. So all are in line under the national policy. Then the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries already set up and will be make our SNDC target will be more ambitious.
Thank you, Ibu. Can I ask my last question? Thank you. You were involved with the Minister of Marine Affairs relevant figures during the development of this action guide. And what do you think the lessons learned? Because at the same time, the Ministry of Environment and then the other relevant ministries are helping each other to develop our second NDC, which was submitted recently. What was the lessons learned that you see for us?
Thank you, Pak Taswin. So one of the stages climate change mitigation is planning phase. Within this phase, the government has to set up the target of reduction. So the green gas inventory is a crucial process in determining activities data, emission sector, and methodologies used. So the emission inventory serve as a reference in developing emission baseline for carbon, blue carbon, and also emission reduction target, and surely climate change mitigation action plan. Yeah, to ensure the data and information of mitigation action are controlled, the MRV process complies with established procedure and standard as guaranteed to be accurate. Therefore, the development of application of the greenhouse gas inventory methodology for blue carbon contribution for the replacement of the NDC by providing quantification gas emission reduction targets for the blue carbon sector. So Indonesia has already conducted the measurement, reporting, and verification, we call MRV system, called by the Unit Carbon Registry system, we call SRUC, as Pak Menteri mentioned this morning. So a digital platform to track the progress of mitigation, adaptation, and emission reduction with aligned to the transparency and accountability and validity. Pak Sabin.
Thanks very much. Thank you for the wrap up. Before we move to Dr. Sandeep and then Anna, I would like to remind that we have a newly regulated regulation, the Presidential Regulation number 1110, that taking place the 98/2021. So it has more broader horizon and then help the government in anticipating the potential 6.2, 6.4 article of the UNFCCC, and then we are ready for the market later on. This is the question for Dr. Sandeep and Anna. So what do you think of this initiative to insert the blue carbon ecosystem to our second NDC? How it strengthens our national and global impact?
Thank you, Tasween. And let me begin, first of all, by thanking the government of Indonesia for inviting me here today and also for hosting such a timely and important session. It was wonderful to see the launch of this new guidance and the beautiful video that was showed also during the launch. It really resonated. And what also resonated was the fact that you had two ministries coming together and two ministers coming together to jointly do this launch. Because in many countries, including, I have seen in my own country in the past, this interaction between ministries is not easy to achieve. So I think that is itself a very strong and good achievement. Now, of course, we all know, we also heard during the introduction the important role that blue carbon plays and blue carbon ecosystems can play in addressing the climate challenge, both from a mitigation and an adaptation point of view. And therefore, from IUCN's perspective, from many years, we have been calling for the integration of blue carbon within the policy instruments of the different international processes. And insofar as the climate process is concerned, obviously the main instrument are the NDCs, but also the NAPs, the National Adaptation Plans. And in fact, when we originally did the analysis of all the NDCs that had been submitted in the first round of NDCs back in 2020, we did an analysis of the extent to which countries had included nature-based solutions, even blue carbon ecosystems within them. And what we had found back then was that there were about 67% of the countries had made some references to nature-based solutions and nature, but very little had been put in concrete terms. And even less so in the case of coastal ecosystems. Now, earlier this month, together with other partners, including from the Nature for Climate Coalition, we carried out this analysis again of the new NDCs that have been submitted until October. And here again, the good news is that there is a lot more recognition of the important role that nature can play in addressing the climate challenge. And there is also greater integration of blue carbon ecosystems and coastal ecosystems, and far more references even to oceans. For instance, the new NDCs that have been submitted until now, around 78% of them have mentioned ocean at least once. Now, having said that, it is still not sufficiently precise in the integration of blue carbon ecosystems, for instance, in the new NDCs. So there again, there is a lot of work to be done. But what is really gratifying is the fact that Indonesia, through the launch of this guidance for integrating blue carbon in implementation terms, has already taken it forward from integrating it into the policy instruments to taking it to, okay, how do we actually implement it on the ground? And let me just conclude by saying that we are meeting here in Belem, where in a sense the forest is meeting the ocean. And it is really a unique opportunity that this COP has to strengthen this recognition of ecosystems in general, but in particular of blue carbon ecosystems, of ocean ecosystems, in addressing this challenge in a joint up and integrated manner. Thank you.
Wow. What an observation. Sorry about my microphone. Well, the fact is we have the longest coastal line, second longest coastal line, 108 kilometers, 5.4 hectares of marine zone. We should be leading. And then how do you observe all this time? Are we on the right track? And then what about the carbon finance mechanism that are out there? Are we going on the right track, or are we going a little bit left or right? What do you think?
Yeah, thank you. It's a very good question, but also a very difficult question, because I think, all countries in a sense are part of that same journey. And maybe the answer to that question is, given the scale and urgency of the challenge that the world is facing, maybe no country is doing what is needed to be done to keep 1.5 within reach. So the need for raising ambition is something that all countries across the board needs to do. But from what I heard this morning, but also from what I have seen previously, indeed, Indonesia is home to around 25% of the world's mangrove ecosystems, and And I think Indonesia has been playing a very important role. So in IUCN, we are also leading together with the government of Australia and another partners, the Blue Carbon Acceleration Fund, under which I know that we have been working very closely with the Indonesian government and Indonesian partners. We're also part of the International Partnership for Blue Carbon and other initiatives. So I think there is a lot that Indonesia can, in a sense, demonstrate to the world, especially for countries that have mangrove ecosystems, on actually how to scale that up further. And not just mangrove ecosystems. I think this morning we also heard about other coastal and marine ecosystems like seagrasses, for instance. And I think Indonesia is playing quite an innovative and leadership role in many ways in integrating seagrasses within its blue carbon inventories and also within its NDC, because I'm not sure if very many countries have done that to date. So it's a big challenge. The last point I would mention is that we also know that many of these ecosystems are under threat from climate change itself. So IUCN had launched a study in 2023 in Dubai, which as part of the IUCN Red List for ecosystems, which showed that 50% of the world's ecosystems were also under threat from climate change, and including 25% of mangrove ecosystems and under threat from sea level rise. So what this tells us is that action and ambition is needed, not only in the blue carbon sector, not only in the nature sector, but across all sectors, including to bring about the sort of decarbonization that is needed to keep 1.5 degrees within reach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's really, could you give applause? It's really striking though. We have the potentials, and then also actions are needed, collective actions are needed for mitigation and adaptation. And maybe we can have different perspective from Anna Marie, Laura. But before then, I would like to introduce her. I didn't read the introduction later clearly. So she's the Senior Director of Climate Policy at Ocean Conservancy, and she's also worked to elevate ocean climate solutions globally in the UN framework in UNFCCC. She was also an advisor to one of US Senator on climate, is it? Okay, please welcome Anna Marie Laura from Ocean Conservancy. I would like to ask the same questions. Indonesian ambitions in blue carbon ecosystem to be inserted into the second NDC or to our NDC from now to the future NDC. What is your concern on this, on strengthening our national and then global ambition, and then support the climate action, the collective action? Thank you.
Thank you. Is this working? Yes. Thank you. And also, I just want to echo the congratulations to Indonesia and MMAF and the Ministry of Environment on the launch of this action guide, because this ability to take, in theory, the blue carbon ecosystems and all of the science that's been done using the IPCC wetland supplement and translating this into the NDC as both a target and as something that needs continuous MRV is really exactly what we're hoping to see on integration of ocean climate solutions into NDCs. Blue carbon has mitigation value and adaptation value, as we've discussed. And I just want to mention that there are many ocean climate solutions that are sort of not being as included in NDCs as they could be. Blue carbon is one that has been increasing. I'd say it's actually one of the most prominent when you look at the ocean climate solutions. But then we have others on the decarbonization spectrum. So we have offshore marine renewable energy that can be integrated into NDCs. We have the decarbonization of shipping and resilience of port infrastructure, global shipping, as well as marine transport within countries. And then resilience and decarbonization of our food systems, of aquatic food systems. So all of these ocean climate solutions, we need to be seeing them in NDCs because we need that ambition. Ocean climate solutions could actually decrease the emissions gap by as much as a third of the emissions gap could be reached if we look to the ocean. And Indonesia, with this action guide and integrating blue carbon into its NDC, is leading the way. And I think I'd just like to mention that this political will being demonstrated by Indonesia is so important to catalyze action here at COP and for other countries to do what you've done on integrating into the NDC. I've been lucky to work with Indonesia in a number of capacities. I'll just mention two of them. The Friends of the Ocean and Climate is an informal group of parties operating here at COP and the UNFCCC. Indonesia has been, from the beginning, a leader in this Friends of the Ocean and Climate group. And the group includes many countries, but they meet during COP and they meet throughout the year to talk about how to advance ocean climate action in the UNFCCC. We have many resources and technical guides and capacity building efforts that can be provided for climate action. And that's happening in the transportation sector, in the agriculture sector, but it's not happening as much in the ocean climate sector, all of those solutions that we just mentioned. And so the Friends of the Ocean and Climate is working to integrate the needs for ocean communities, for ocean solutions across the UNFCCC and the negotiations. So, for example, this year at COP, we hope we'll see the finalization of global goal and adaptation indicators. And the question is, are these indicators reflective of coastal community needs for adaptation? Are they reflective of all of the ocean and coastal solutions for adaptation? And as we monitor adaptation, will we be monitoring the right set of indicators for ocean and coastal communities and ecosystems? So that's just one of the issues that the Friends of the Ocean and Climate pays attention to make sure that we're getting as much as we can from the UNFCCC processes for important solutions like blue carbon. And then I'll just mention one other, which is the Blue NDC Challenge. This challenge was launched at the UN Ocean Conference in Nice just this past summer, and it was launched by Brazil, the host of COP30, and by France, who was the UN Ocean Conference host country. And so this was a very demonstration of a high amount of political will, and they were joined by 8 countries for the launch of this challenge. By tomorrow, for some new announcements, we'll be up to about 15 countries. And these are countries that are leading the way on integrating ocean into their NDCs and into national climate plans. Some anecdotal evidence about what this means: when your country joins a challenge like this, really a political initiative. So these countries are politically saying, we care about this, we're going to use ocean climate solutions because we know we have to do more. That means for countries like that, Indonesia is already doing this work across ministries, but I have heard countries joining the challenge, they've actually sparked conversations between the ministries responsible for creating the NDC and those working on ocean climate solutions. And that just, as we've all said, it doesn't always happen. But when at the highest levels of your government you say, we care about ocean for climate solutions, then you start to see this working together that we really need. So just some examples of the benefits where Indonesia has been a leader, and we see that global partnerships across countries and global statements of political will are really important to get the resources and actions that we want to see on the ground for protecting the ocean by addressing climate change.
Wow, what an observation. Thank you. I think some people here from the Ministry of Marine Affairs have been involved in so many discussions, but not negotiations, discussions on ocean sectors. I think since 2018, it's intensified, and then we would like to see more now and in the coming COPs. And for Indonesia, this is the first time our Minister of Marine Affairs and Fisheries really attend the COP and then launch. Thank you. But we're happy, because we also actually are facing potential the same problem. But then we can get out of it and see it as a one ecosystem approach, regardless the bureaucracy. So my next questions, with your international and global experience, how could we see these initiatives in the future could impact other countries, and we can call for global actions?
Yeah, thank you. I think globally, many initiatives like the action guide being launched today and the partnerships are starting to elevate ocean climate here within the COP. But we have a consistent challenge of the finance needed to implement these solutions. And I think globally, as partnerships of countries with civil society, we really need to be looking at how to mobilize the resources in the right way. And so we look, even just looking at the UNFCCC processes, how could we do that? There are climate finance mechanisms here, the Green Climate Fund, the Global Environment Facility, the Adaptation Fund that is emerging, the Loss and Damage Fund. This climate mechanisms, these climate architecture should be making it available for ocean climate solutions, and we're not seeing that as much. We know that SDG 14, life below water, is still the least invested in SDG, and that translates over on the climate side. So Globally, we as groups of countries and civil society can work together to raise the needs that we have. NDCs are a critical tool for doing this. When you include an action in NDC, it's really, you're including it in your investment plan for your country. And so we have a couple of opportunities this coming year. The Standing Committee in Finance, which is a body within the UNFCCC, for the first time will have a focus on oceans. Their forum in 2026 will be on climate action for water systems and oceans. This is a huge opportunity for countries that are part of Friends of the Ocean and Climate, the Blue Challenge, the mangrove breakthrough, for them to express the needs they have on implementing ocean climate solutions so that we get the climate finance mechanisms responding and making funds and resources and technology transfer available to implement them. This is the implementation COP. And so if we're going to work together globally, I think really mobilizing finance for these solutions is what we need to see. I will just mention too, with ocean, it's so important because these ecosystems are not in one country. More than even some of the other really important ecosystems, if we're not working together and mobilizing resources for multiple countries at the same time for protection and for mitigation, then we won't achieve as much as we could.
Thank you. Could you give applause to all the panelists? Thank you. This is really inspiring. And I think we should not only look at Global Mangrove Alliance or Global Seagrass Alliance or Global Coastal Alliance or small islands. But we could see it as a blue carbon ecosystem alliance. And then all the ecosystems spread over all the atmosphere. And then, tropical equator and then southern and northern hemisphere. We should see it as a one collective world and then one collective ecosystem, and we should attack it as global collective actions. Okay, I don't have much time. I think I have like 8 minutes. I should invite at least 2 questions from the audience. Is there any? 1, 2. Okay. Your time, sir and ma'am.
Perfect, Grant. Thank you.
Name and institution, please.
So good morning, everyone. So my name is Luca, and I'm representing Trinity. I am representing Trinity College Dublin, Ireland here, and I'm a PhD researcher in law. And considering your topic itself, it's very relevant, especially considering international collaboration within other different countries. And so my question is, considering basically this initiative itself, on your personal thoughts about, does it important also just to collaborate with the other countries, in particular maybe with the Ireland or with the other, I could say, small island countries itself in this regard, just to making sure that, this initiative could be going into the power like internationally. And my second question is, considering also some different fundings options here, does it also important? And so what do you think about that? Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get your name right. What is it?
So it's Luca.
Luca.
Yeah, exactly.
From Ireland?
Yeah, from Ireland. Trinity College Dublin, yeah. Thank you.
Dublin. Yeah. Nice. I need to... Do you direct to the ministers?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be perfect, yeah, if
Okay,
Minister
the
could
minister
answer.
and then from Dr. Sandeep and Anabani.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Satu dua tiga, nggak ada ya? Let me respond that. So, I think, as Emily mentioned, that we have, as Anna already mentioned, that we need to align that with the other countries. So, today we have also working together with the ASEAN countries. ASEAN is a member of the 11 countries in the Southeast Asia. How we to promote the blue carbon itself. So we are thinking to establish the working group on the blue carbon for the ASEAN group. And of course with Ireland, like the other countries itself, we need to align with the blue NDCs, coalitions probably, and how to promote the ocean. I think we need to refer back to the Article 2 of the UNFCCC conventions that mention that ocean is really heart of the climate regulation. So that's why I agree with you, so we need to align with the other countries. The second question, I cannot hear properly.
It's finance.
Yeah, finance is, I think, as you already might know that finance is one of the challenging challenging topics. For the SDG 14, at least, like we deficit about like 174 billion US dollar for SDG itself. Of course, this is part of there are some part of the mitigation and adaptation action there. So that's why how we can deal with that, I believe that to establish high integrity and high value of the carbon that can be working together with the other stakeholders is really important. How we package it is really important as well. So I think I want to respond.
Thank you, Dr. Hendra. Luca, thank you for your questions, but I think I need to have some more answers from the other three speakers. I need the second question first, so we can answer it together.
Thank you. My name is Marina Marçal. I'm from Brazil. I'm from Waverly Street Foundation. We have been supporting Indonesia, Mexico, and Brazil. I used to coordinate Brazil Pavilion at COP, so I want to say congratulations. This pavilion is very beautiful. I have a really short question, especially for the minister, but it's open for the other panelists. At Waverly, we have been supporting fishing communities with renewable energy to help them through solar panels to have cold storage for fishing. But I would like to hear if there are any cases of deep sea mining in Indonesia that could be a problem or barrier for the blue carbon coalition in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria or Marina?
Marina.
Marina, from Brazil, from the Ministry of Ocean?
Yes. No, not Minister of Ocean.
Okay.
Waverly Street Foundation was founded by Lorraine Jobs, the widow of Steve Jobs.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Start with Mahendra first, or yeah.
Obrigado, Marina. I believe that we, the country with the 17,000 islands, not like continent as Brazil. So for the small island like in Eastern Indonesia, we should rely on renewable energies. So we have actually for the small scale of the what we call this cold storage, we integrated with like the solar panel itself. But lesson learned from that initiative is the capacity building itself. It's really important because for the simple tasks such as like switch on and switch off, the local communities is really scared to do it because they're thinking about this is like the sophisticated technology. So that's why the capacity building is really to be there. So actually we have to follow and then guide them and assist them with 3 years in a row, just to make sure that they will be sufficient enough to understand and how to operate it. For deep sea mining, so far, not really. We don't have any like for the BBNG itself. We have a BBNG in the western part of Sumatra and also in Papua in eastern Indonesia, but so far we don't have any experience on that. But I think we cannot put it there. This is kind of like the modalities and discussion for the BBNG agreement. So thank you very much for the one.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for the question. Actually, our national determined contribution, so solar panels is under renewable energy. So the blue carbon sector is always will develop the action plan for the cold storage using by the solar panel. So it could contribute the national emission reduction from the cold storage. Now we are working together. I mean to develop the action plan, national action plan in terms of renewable energy in the blue carbon sector.
Yes, thank you, Madam Director. And then I think I also take this as a closing. Yeah. Okay. We have 17,400 something islands, and we have 108 kilometers of coastal lines. It's a different approach, but and then to be more objective, I would like to invite Dr. Sandeep and Ms. Anna Marie to look at it from the outsiders, how we tackle this, from Luca and then from Maria.
Thank you. I'll try to quickly sort of just share quick reflections on both questions. One is again, as you pointed out, if we are talking about integrated solutions, how do we have solar panels on top of, cold storage systems, linking also with coastal blue carbons. It actually calls for an integrated whole of government and whole of society approach. And it's easier said than done, but that's what is needed. And then to the question from our colleague in Ireland, again, I mean, every country is different, but that is where global frameworks and global institutions can hopefully have a role in bringing together best practices and creating frameworks that others can join. So, for example, there is a mangroves breakthrough that, was already referred to. There is also the ocean breakthrough, and very recently the peatland breakthrough was also launched. And Ireland has, a lot of peatland ecosystems, for instance. And those frameworks, I think, really allow for different countries to share their plans, share their best practices with each other, and then also to help collectively move together in a progressive and ambitious direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you. I just will pick up on Marina's question as a really good example of why the ocean conservation community needs to be paying attention across all of the work on climate action. So with renewable energy, for example, the just energy transition is critical and funds are being provided for projects, but coastal communities, as you've mentioned, fisheries communities have different needs than some other communities in terms of their energy needs and what they need to transition to. Fisheries cold storage is a good example. We also are not seeing as much investment in wave and tidal energy. And for remote coastal communities and small islands, moving away from diesel, one of the most polluting fossil fuels, is critical. And maybe solar is a good answer, but wave and tidal also has a lot of potential for not large grid energy, but for small distributed energy systems. So we need to be investing in solutions that will meet the needs of these coastal communities. And on deep sea mining, we need to be paying attention to the energy transition. Where are we promoting circularity in terms of the critical minerals and materials that are needed for renewable energy? Because that affects if we will see deep sea mining to access those materials. So I know the ocean community and many do not support deep sea mining right now because there's just far too many potential consequences for the ocean. What we do need is renewable energy, and so what can we advocate for as we work to protect the ocean from a potentially devastating industry of deep sea mining? We also need to say, let's do this instead and put our advocacy and the need to do that. Ocean conservation is a really, really critical need for renewable energy. If we don't transition away from fossil fuels, we will not be protecting the ocean from climate change. So thank you for that question, because it really speaks to what we all need to be doing and paying attention to across the climate conversation.
Thank you, Anna Marie. And then I would like to invite more questions, but then I'm limited by time because we have another session coming in 10 minutes or 8 to 10 minutes. And I think that concludes these sessions. And before we end these sessions, I would like to ask Dr. Endra, representing the ministry, and then Ms. Haruki, is there any more closing? Okay, I would like to invite you to give one short 2 sentence.
So I just want to conclude because I'm focused to achieving the target
Objective
of
do not
emission
equal
reduction. So I would like to state the NDCs success when collective action becomes our shared responsibility, and one of it is from blue carbon sector. Thank you.
Dr. Hendra?
I think we would like to thanks to all the audience to come here to the witness for the launching of the blue carbon guidance. This is really a collaborative effort between our ministry and Ministry of Environment and also Ministry of Forestry, with support from the international partners such as like the GI. So I think, of course, we need to more buzzer for the oceans, how important the ocean and climate. So I would like to invite you to buzz how the important the ocean and the roles of the ocean for the climate regulation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Hendra. This will conclude our sessions, and I would like to appreciate your presence, your questions, and your concerns, and then would like to thank all the 4 panelists, especially Dr. Sandeep and Anna Marie, who comes and then see us from the external view, and then all the important points, especially on the future look, and then the global climate collective action on climate, ocean and climate. And then with that, I would like to invite applause for the all panelists. Thank you very much. And then I give the sessions to our beautiful MC.